We're working the latest now on stunning new developments in the airline tragedy investigation in France. Today, relatives of the 150 victims gathered at the crash site amid news that the Germanwings airliner was apparently brought down on purpose. A French prosecutor says the cockpit voice recorder reveals that the co-pilot locked the pilot out of the cockpit and intentionally crashed the plane. Passengers could be heard screaming as the Airbus rapidly descended in the French Alps. The motive remains unclear, but right now investigators do not suspect terrorism. Eyewitness News reporter Steve Nielsen joins us live now with more details on where the investigation stands.
Well, Shannon, this latest news came as a surprise to many, and several officials have said it makes the tragedy seem even worse. A terrible crash takes on a new narrative.
Very disturbing possibility, and I think it makes even worse what's already a terrible tragedy.
A prosecutor now says the Germanwings crash into a steep French mountainside that took 150 lives was done intentionally. The official says the captain left the cockpit, leaving the co-pilot alone. The prosecutor says the recordings recovered at the 10-acre crash site reveal the captain banged on the door to get back in while passengers screamed.
It would have been a terrifying number of minutes.
But the co-pilot breathed normal and never responded or signaled for help. Aviation and safety expert Sully Sullenberger spoke on CBS this morning, saying 2 people should always be in the cockpit.
And here in the United States and a few other countries, but unfortunately not widely in place around the world, we have in place protocols that require that there always be 2 people in the cockpit.
The co-pilot had not been with the plane long. Sullenberger says that he was relatively new and inexperienced. Sullenberger says if what the French prosecutor says is true, it's exceedingly unusual.
It's extraordinarily rare, but it has happened in a few occasions. This may unfortunately be another one of those. I should say that pilots are among the most scrutinized of all professionals, certainly more than medical professionals.
The FBI has offered to help with the investigation. Now, the task of identifying the remains is underway. It'll take quite some time considering how decimated the plane is. I'm Steve Nielsen, Eyewitness News.
Now we are working the latest developments on the airline tragedy in the French Alps. Today, investigators reported that the co-pilot intentionally brought that plane down. It's a shocking statement reminiscent of another plane crash off the coast of Nantucket 16 years ago. Eyewitness News reporter Steve Nielsen is live in the newsroom now with more.
Well, if what a French prosecutor says is true, then this would not be the first time that a co-pilot has intentionally crashed a commercial plane. One of the more recent cases happened right in our own backyard. The latest news of what a French prosecutor says caused the Germanwings crash is bringing up similarities to a local crash 16 years ago. The prosecutor says the pilot of the plane left the cockpit, leaving the co-pilot alone. Officials say a data recorder recovered at the mountainside crash site in France picked up the audio of the pilot banging on the door while the co-pilot intentionally crashed the plane, killing all 150 on board.
A very disturbing possibility, and I think it makes even worse what's already a terrible tragedy.
In 1999, Egypt Air Flight 990 crashed off the coast of Nantucket. All 217 people on board died. Wreckage from the crash was brought to Quonset Point in Rhode Island to be investigated. Eventually, the NTSB reported the crash was caused by the deliberate actions of the co-pilot when the pilot left the cockpit.
Protocols.
On CBS this morning, aviation and safety expert Sully Sullenberger said these cases do happen.
It's extraordinarily rare, but it has happened in a few occasions. This may unfortunately be another one of those.
Now, Sullenberger says that U.S. flights are required to have at least 2 people in the cockpit at all times, but few other countries have that same requirement. In the newsroom, Steve Nielsen, Eyewitness News.